What is up, guys, and welcome back to a brand new video. Once again, we are back with career mode. Bit of a lengthy break. I can only apologise about that. Christmas kind of got in the way, but we're here for the Spanish Grand Prix, and as you can see, Chris there is giving us a friendly reminder about the resource points. Yes, thank you, Chris. I know we're in a new team, but trust me, I know what I'm doing. We almost have enough resource points to do something. We actually do have some resource points to do some upgrades now. So we'll do another discount upgrade, one that I've been really banking on for the last few rounds, hopefully trying to get it on the car. And now it's finally there. We can kind of forget about the discount upgrades now and just get on with the season. And yeah, just focus entirely on making this car faster now. So yeah, that's the race is on now to catch McLaren in the development race. So we'll see what we can do. But here now today in the Spanish Grand Prix, we've got a very tough prospect ahead of us. Heavy rain for the entirety of qualifying, and a track where the McLaren Honda is probably going to be at its best all season. So yeah, we well and truly have it all up against us. Only 9th place in Q1, 3.4 seconds away from the pace. I knew I wasn't going to win this weekend or be anywhere near close to challenging, so I thought heading into this race, I even had this feeling, and the fact that it was raining even further complemented this strategy. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to be starting last for this race. We're going to take a brand new power unit, the 5th one, and that might just about be enough to get us through the entirety of this season. With the longevity of the power units of Red Bull, I think we might just be able to get through on 5. So we'll be starting last. We'll have a lot of overtakes to do, but the aim is to get a top 5 and just do damage limitation, because in all honesty, if we qualify at the front, I don't think we'll get a result much better than that anyway. It's time for the race. So here we are then, on the grid of the Spanish Grand Prix. We have a bit of fortune on our side as well for the start of this race. It turns out that Nando is starting in 9th place. Now what I think has happened, because I retired in Q2, the entirety of Q3 was simulated, and I think just on the normal performance of the McLaren from Season 1, it's placed them in 9th and 10th place respectively. So it means that we have a bit more of a chance heading into this race now to actually close them up and possibly get some points over them in this race. Now, given that everyone qualified on wet tyres, there are a lot of people starting on the mediums and potentially going to be doing one stop. So we'll wait and see how it goes on the strategy, but we need to be aggressive from the outset if we're going to recover enough points in this race. 5 red lights and away we go for the Spanish Grand Prix. Looks like an okay start up against Marcus Ericsson there, up into 19th place before we even get up into top speed alongside Lance Stroll on the soft compound tyres. We'll just place this car nice and carefully through the opening couple of corners. Bit of contact there with the Toro Rosso as well. Massa gets a bit lively there on the outside as well, and that is P14. As we go around the outside of Jolie and Palmer, this is actually getting quite nice now as this race unfolds in this opening sector of the Grand Prix. Next up, we got both the Haas drivers, so we know how lively those two guys can be up against other drivers. Let's see how they fare against each other. Still running side by side for the two of them, and I'm going to see if I can just nose my car up the inside when an opportunity presents. Up the inside of Magnussen. Not quite done yet. He is on the softer compounded tyre, so it's going to be hard to overtake him around the outside here. Shoved out onto the ripple strip, but I think we might have the supremacy heading into the next left-hander, really late under brakes, and we actually get Romain Grosjean as well in the process. So on this opening lap, not even the end of the lap, and we've gained 9 places. What a start that has been for this Spanish Grand Prix. Who says you can't overtake in 2017? We've only gone and done it at one of the most difficult tracks on the calendar to follow other cars with the dirty air, and we've absolutely made it work for us. So heading on to the second lap now, we follow Sergio Perez through the middle sector. He gets a bit wayward through that last left-hander. He had a massive lock-up, and we made the most of that up the inside, and now in the points. So next up is Nico Hulkenberg. Obviously, the McLarens aren't really in sight at the moment, so already they're making really solid progress themselves. I think that's one of the McLarens up in front of Daniel Ricciardo, who's in P6. So I go for a really late lunge on Nico Hulkenberg. Didn't really make that work, and he gets the position back at, but a few corners later. Get the DRS, bit of slipstream going, and that is us up in a 9th place. So we've made some fantastic ground so far. We still need to continue to push on. Those McLarens are really working hard at this Grand Prix to get through the order. So I'm going to do the best job I can to stay close to them, or at least like within a pit stop, because you never know if they're going to do a 2-stop or not. McLaren love doing their extra stop strategies in these opening few rounds of the championship. This is up the inside of Esteban Ocon here, really close between the two of us. He gives us a nice little squeeze as we head into turn 6, and still side by side. He's not giving this up, Esteban Ocon. Fair play to him, but I think it was only a matter of time before we got him there. We have a better car than he does, and we managed to make that move stick. Here's the replay, really close between the two of us. Bear in mind, we were already going side by side for the last 30 seconds before that, and we just managed to squeeze around the outside of him there and into position 8, I think it was. So we carry on to lap 4. Stoffel Van Dorn setting purple laps in the process. So he's in front of Ricciardo, but he's a long way in front. He's got a lot of, he had a lot of clear. He's actually now caught up to the leading group now and is running with those guys. So scary amount of pace that McLarens are showing at the moment, but we're showing a bit of pace ourselves. We've already closed up to within 2 seconds of our teammate Daniel Ricciardo, and this is, I never thought this would happen. I thought we'd still be struggling to be getting inside the top 10 in the early phases of this race. I never really rate my chances against the AI around Spain. I feel like on balance of things, the AI are very strong here. So making gains on the AI here is very, very difficult. But into the pits goes Fernando Alonso. I think one of the Mercedes has followed him in as well. So too with Sebastian Vettel. So those guys are 100% definitely on the 2-stop strategy today.
Okay, you only have to stop once now. 1 stop left. Okay, we think the effects of the tyre deg are going to kick in soon. We should be alright for the time being, but you will start to find it a bit more slippery out there.
Thanks, Jeff, for giving us some absolutely useless information. I wanted to know when my pit window was, because I think from memory we were only meant to stop around like lap 15, lap 16. So the fact that some of the lead runners, Alonso, Hamilton and Vettel, all stopping 5-6 laps early, that's definitely a cue to say that they're doing a 2-stop, whereas we're going to be on the 1-stop and potentially defending this potential lead that we have at the moment. It's actually a 1-2 for Red Bull. Daniel Ricciardo leads. Everyone else has pretty much stopped now, and I'm doing a rear gunner job for Daniel Ricciardo. It must be said as well, I tried my absolute best to get close to Ricciardo. I got within that 2-second window, like you do in real life, but I couldn't make any more gains. The dirty air, I don't even think it was dirty air. I just ran out of tyres. I was quick in the opening few laps, or the opening half of the stint, and then as soon as the tyre wear got up there, I feel like Ricciardo got faster and faster, probably running a more conservative, more race-worthy setup that is really looking after his tyres. But lap 14, Ricciardo still doesn't pit. I feel like he might get the undercut on us, and that might prove costly for us. Lap 15, Ricciardo is in, and yeah, we have to do the extra lap, and unfortunately, we might suffer because of that. So we inherit the lead for what is only a very brief moment as Sebastian Vettel tries to overtake us around the outside here into the start-finish straight, and we do manage to hold on for now. So we might get a lap in the lead here, but that might be just about it. Ricciardo is in onto the hard compound tyres, and he'll be running to the end. That is also Kimi Raikkonen diving in for what I think is his second stop. So he might well be doing 3, depending on how far he can take his tyres, or what compound he put on as well. But back to our battle now with Sebastian Vettel, and you can see the tyres now really past their best now. The best part of 60-odd% worn on the left-hand side of the car. That's the working side, the side that takes pretty much all the load through the really fast left-handed, or the right-handed, sorry. Turn 3 is pretty harsh, and then I think it's turn 9, the fast blind approach up the hill is really tough on the old rear tyres there. So yeah, very difficult. But as we rejoin on the track, this is one of the Ferraris overtaking Daniel Ricciardo for what is effective P2. I'm not too sure who's actually winning this race. It's kind of a toss-up between Ricciardo, Raikkonen, and also Sebastian Vettel in this race. I think Fernando Alonso might be in the mix as well, but he might be a little bit further back, like behind those guys, depending on how his consistency plays out later on. But yeah, for us though, it looks like we're fighting for a fringe position in the top 5, maybe. We'll have to wait and see. It's very ambiguous at the moment. It looks like Raikkonen's doing a 3-stop, everyone else doing 2 stops, and then it's just the Red Bull boys doing the 1 stop. So still a lot that can unfold at the moment, as this is Fernando Alonso getting overtaken by, I think, Kimi Raikkonen. So yeah, it's so confusing at this stage. I did the race myself. I'm editing it. I still don't really know what's going on. There is so much strategy at play that is happening right now. Alonso is into the pits now as well for his final stop of the day, and he's actually rejoined behind us. So a very tasty prospect now for the rest of this Grand Prix. We could potentially beat Alonso. Now, if you've been following this series religiously, every single episode, you guys know that Alonso has been spanking me across the park every single race. And the fact that we can now get some points over him will be absolutely golden in an era where we haven't done any upgrades to the car as of yet. But Stoffel Van Dorn makes his final stop of the race. He rejoins in P3. So the 2 stoppers, or at least some of them, are really well positioned in this race for the outset. Now as we come on to the final 10 laps of the race. We've actually caught up to Ricciardo. So like I said, I have pace in the early laps, so when the tyres are fresh, you can see I'm faster than Ricciardo, but he will be a threat later on once tyre wear comes into it more in the dying few laps possibly. But yeah, the guys that we have behind us are Hamilton, Alonso, and I believe Raikkonen still behind us, and they're going to be quickly closing on us in the dying laps of this race. So the guys in front of us, Van Dorn and Vettel, that's your top 2, and absolutely no way we can catch them on harder compounded tyres and older tyres as well. So it's going to be very, very tough to do anything from here. It's just going to be a case of holding on to P3 if we can. Here goes Lewis Hamilton up the inside of Daniel Ricciardo there through turn 3. Couldn't quite make the move stick there, and he holds on to P4 for the moment. It's worth mentioning as well, I tried to, help out Ricciardo, just give him the slipstream if I could on the straights, and that was just enough, only just enough to keep Lewis Hamilton at bay. But this time I was too far up the road because they got held up by Marcus Ericsson, and this time Hamilton gets a much better run on Daniel Ricciardo. Again, up the inside into turn 3. A bit of contact is made, and Hamilton is in the grass. Actually make that the barrier as well. He's lost his front wing, and that is his race well and truly over. He's not going to get a podium today. He might not even get points. The amount of time that he's lost just trying to recover the car in a straight line once again. He might even change his front wing. We'll have to wait and see though. So a disastrous day for Hamilton. A disastrous day for Mercedes. They're not going to be inside the top 7 with either of their cars at this stage in the Spanish Grand Prix. But as we head on to the final lap now, I think this is lap 32, the penultimate one. This is Sebastian Vettel, an update on the leaders, with Stoffel Van Dorn very, very close. So Stoffel pretty much on the precipice of winning a Grand Prix. He just needs to get within DRS of Vettel to overtake him. So we'll see how that goes. It's actually not happening because he's had a major problem. He's locked up into the first corner. I don't know how he's lost this much time, but it looks like he might have had a brake problem from the moment we cut away from that replay camera where he was dicing around with lap traffic. He comes into turn number 4 and he's completely bottled it again. So yes, some kind of brake problem has completely manifested itself right after we were looking at him on the replay camera. So maybe a case of commentator's curse. And now it's just a diabolical way to end his Grand Prix. He was in P2 and he was going to gain some really solid points on Fernando and myself, which would have been much needed for him. But now it looks like he's not even going to score points. What a disastrous end to Stoffel Van Dorn, and potentially his championship already 5 rounds in. We come second place for a double podium for Red Bull, and what a turnaround this has been from last place.
So here they come now, out onto the podium. Wherever you go, anywhere in the world, the prancing horse flags are dominant in the grandstands, and they're out in force again today. It's Ferrari on the top step once more.
You know, if you guys would have told me how this race would have turned out before this episode airing, I would not have believed you. No way would I have believed you. It's even in the title. my goal today was to try and not get lapped, and somehow we've actually come away with more points than both the McLarens put together. What a turnaround, after starting in last place as well. Like, I was literally just trying to avoid getting lapped in this Grand Prix, and we have only gone and, you know, put our championship back in a good state. I think the gap is now only 14 points to Fernando Alonso. Stoffel Van Dorn drops a couple of places after both the Ferrari boys move up a place each, both on 57 points, so they are a little bit away from us, but the amount of momentum that they're building in the last few Grand Prix, it looks very promising for them, and it could even be a 4, maybe even 5-way fight for this championship. We'll have to wait and see. Still third place in the Constructors' standings, 5 points away from Ferrari. So heading into the Monaco Grand Prix, I'll be hoping to at least get a podium, maybe even a race win, and maybe reclaim second in the Constructors. Hopefully Daniel can back me up as well, after what was a really good drive from him as well. It looks like at one stage Ricciardo was in the mix to possibly win that Grand Prix. I just think that our consistency at the end of our medium stint probably wasn't quite as good. The undercut really worked out well for those 2 stoppers today, but like I said, the development race is on. It well and truly is now. We've got all the discount upgrades applied to the car, so whatever points we have now will be spent directly on performance, and we're going to do our absolute best to chase down McLaren. We're going to go after the downforce upgrades, because that's the area of the car where we're lacking the most, and it should make things much easier for us in terms of qualifying, being close to the you know, the McLarens, and just being able to race them, really. That's where we really seem to lack, but in the time being, I'll try and run more downforce, see if that helps. It'll be a little bit slower on the straights, but on balance of things, it does make us a little bit more competitive. So we'll try that kind of strategy out for Monaco. 11 wings, probably 11 ballast as well. We'll go full aggressive mode, and we'll see what we can do up against a very informed Fernando Alonso. Thank you so much for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe to the channel if you're new to see plenty more F1 2017 content. Until the next race, the Monaco Grand Prix, I'll see you next time.